Welcome back. Haven't seen you in a while.
Thank you.
President Trump's going to address CPAC today. His team did a pretty good job of teeing it up for him, saying he's going to continue to do what he promised to do during the campaign. This audience during that campaign had real fears about Trump's conservative credentials. What specifically do they want to hear from him today?
Well, I remember saying at the Republican convention that the Republican Party I'd worked for 20 years, led by George W. Bush and inspired by Ronald Reagan, died in the room that night. It's a symbol of just how weak conservatism was, that Trump has moved in and completely hijacked the brand of conservatism, because there is nothing conservative about what he's doing, but they have bought it hook, line, and sinker.
So what does he need to say?
Well, I think it doesn't. The question is, what is he going to say? And he's going to say much of the same of what he's been saying, that conservatism is now about protectionism and isolationism and nativism, the very things that animated, fighting those three things animated conservatism for 2 generations before it.
On a related topic, campaign on the trail. A then candidate, Trump said, for repeal and replace Obamacare. Then you've got former Speaker John Boehner in Orlando at the health care conference saying, and we'll quote here on that topic, that they shouldn't actually call it that because that's not what's going to happen. They're basically going to fix the flaws and put a more conservative box around it. We saw that in Peter's piece. That's a guy that knows a thing or two about the legislative process. Former Speaker. Last night, Mike Pence, our vice president at CPAC, and he's saying to everybody there, America's Obamacare nightmare is about to end. How hard is Paul Ryan's job right now?
Well, I think that's also John Boehner is a guy who's been waiting a few years to have the freedom to say that. This is something you got the sense when he was Speaker he probably wanted to say and couldn't. But that is the essential bind that Republicans are in right here. And he says it. Look, if you take this away right now, this entire program, and you don't have a replacement, you own any of the failures that happen, and they haven't had a placement in a generation.
Yeah, but repeal and replace makes a good bumper sticker. Fix does not.
It does not, but we had reporting that some of the early talks between outgoing President Obama and incoming President Trump were about doing just this, about rebranding it and tweaking it. So I think this has been the plan all along.
Real quickly, 2 topics. The first one, these words, military operation, that the president used in describing the roundup and deportation of undocumented immigrants in this country. The White House tried to walk it back. Did they succeed?
So there's a story out this morning about how the generals, General Kelly and General Mattis's primary job is to do cleanup and to save face for the United States of America around the world. And you see that in action with this comment, with General Kelly going out and say that will not be the case. There will not be mass deportations. With you saw General Mattis earlier in the week talking about how we are not after Iraq soil. The most interesting people to me right now are the generals who seem to be doing cleanup full time.
And Steve, quickly on the transgender issue, we just saw it there. I mean, he said he thinks people, President Trump said, or then on the campaign trail, that people should be able to use the bathroom they feel that they identify with. What happened with the issue?
Yeah, I think this is one, too. They're getting a lot of negative attention on this, a lot of criticism on this, and there is a big chunk of this country that's outraged by what the administration's doing here. I do think it's worth stepping back and realizing this issue, too. When you look at the polling on it, this country is really split on this. There are also a lot of people out there who are on board with where the administration is, and you look at just how fast some of these cultural issues are changing. Just 5 years ago, President Obama at the time said he was opposed to gay marriage on religious grounds. So a lot of people have not come as far as some of the liberals have on this issue.
Good point, Steve. Thank you very much, Nicole.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome back. Good to see you. And got a reminder for you. On Monday, former President George W. Bush will be here for an exclusive live interview and to show us his new tribute to America's wounded warriors. Then on Tuesday, we'll be live on Capitol Hill. House Speaker Paul Ryan is going to join us live exclusively, and we'll take you on a first-of-its-kind live tour of the Capitol. That's today on the Hill, Tuesday morning, right here on Today.